Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mobile UX Marathon. Thanks for joining us. We'll give everyone a few minutes here to enter the live stream. So in the meantime, would love to see where everyone's from. So feel free to use the live chat hello from Los Angeles. One of our speakers today is based in Los Angeles. We'll give everyone about one more minute just to make sure that we have all the viewers, and we will go ahead and get started. Thanks again for joining. Utah, UK, Arizona. Is anyone from Philadelphia? That's where I'm originally from. San Francisco, great. I'm based in San Francisco. Portland. Great, all right. Well, we will go ahead and get started. Thank you so much again for joining. We have a great webinar set up for today, so excited to get started. So to start off, hello and welcome to the Mobile UX Marathon, a series of weekly webinars on how to improve user experience and conversion rate on the mobile web. Thank you for running this marathon with us, and thanks for joining today. It's our third webinar of the series, and again, there's a total of 6, so we are halfway through. And today we're going to talk about organizational structure and how it affects the products you build, as well as using qualitative methods in user experience. So first, I'd love to introduce myself and our fantastic speakers, Carly and Dana, who you're in for a real treat with these two. So my name is Sarah Tustin. I'm an emerging product strategy lead in the mobile space. I'm based in San Francisco. We have Carly Ribbett with us, who is a mobile strategy lead in the travel sector and is based in Chicago. And we have Dana Pagoda, who is a mobile strategy lead in the consumer goods and entertainment sector based in Los Angeles. Agenda for today. We'll start with just a quick recap and a welcome back refresher on what the Mobile Marathon is. We'll do a recap of the homework videos that you all watched. We'll talk about how organizational excellence leads to product excellence, how user research is beneficial for your business, and finally, we'll end with a Q&A, which will consist of pre-submitted questions, as well as we'll answer a few of your questions in the live stream. So really quick, if you're joining us for the first time, what is the Mobile UX Marathon? It's a series of live streams across the globe focused on various user experience topics. The marathon is going to be on for 6 weeks. So again, long distance run. And every week we're going to discuss a different UX topic. It's open to everyone, marketers, UX practitioners, design, product teams, developers, really anyone looking to perform better on mobile web can run this marathon with us. So we just ask that you please register at the website to receive weekly communications from us, including our feedback forms. So what do you do as the viewer? First, watch the pre-recorded videos, which is on the website, and the link is there, events.withgoogle.com/mobile-UX-marathon. Second, please ask questions on the marathon website or prepare them for the live stream. And finally, join the live stream. Each session, as I said, is going to be about 1 hour, and the latter half of the session will be us answering any questions that you, the viewers, have. And we will also be sending out feedback forms after every live stream. So please give us feedback. It is how we get better. Based on feedback from the last live stream, I wanted to share a few quick bullet points. We asked what you decided to test on your websites after viewing were, and the most popular responses we got were: 1, display value proposition at every stage of the funnel for the homepage. 2nd, show search suggestions when no matching results for navigation. And finally, limiting exit points when user is in the form for checkout. So it's great to see that you all have put what you learned into action, and we hope that you're able to build from these best practices. So thank you for sharing that feedback with us. Now I'm going to turn it over to Carly and Dana to give a quick recap of the pre-recorded videos you all watched.
Great, thanks. Hi, everyone. In the first video, we reviewed what conversion rate optimization, or CRO, is and presented the CRO maturity model. CRO is defined as the process of testing what works for your customers with the help of your customers. This process happens repetitively and continuously. In other words, companies who really embrace conversion rate optimization are constantly testing different aspects of the business. CRO is not something that is quick. It takes time and resources. There isn't a formula for how CRO should be executed. The process is unique for each business. The goal is to help your website make money. We also walked through what a CRO maturity model is, how to access the current state of your business, and how that compares to the best case scenario. The first or most basic stage of CRO is nascent, in which a company is aware of CRO as a concept, but hasn't taken steps to dedicate time or resources to it yet. The second stage of CRO maturity is emerging, a company that is new to CRO but has a fear of failure. The third stage is called connected, and it refers to companies that have C-level buy-in, have begun dedicating resources to CRO, and are agile and data-driven. The final stage is called multi-moment, and these companies have a dedicated CRO team, pride themselves on taking risks, and have CRO as an embedded part of their culture. As we walk through today's sessions, think about where your organization falls on the CRO maturity model. Consider how you might adapt some of the concepts to advance your company along. Feel free to post in the comments what stage your company is currently in and what barriers there may be to advancing. In the second video, we reviewed qualitative and quantitative research methods and tied them back to each stage of CRO maturity. Quantitative research is broadly defined as the what, and is where we classify data, measurement, and analytics. Qualitative research refers to the why and refers to observation and inquiry. We reviewed a few tips and tricks of research methods, which include: don't try everything at once, start with 1 or 2 activities, make sure your data is clean, accurate, and up to date, have a minimum of 3 months worth of data before drawing conclusions. Usability testing should be done every step of the way, and you should also consider A/B testing, heat maps, and user segmenting. Now, Dana is going to review the final 2 videos.
Thanks, Carly. Hi, everyone. In the third video, we reviewed design sprints. Design sprints and how you can use them to optimize for mobile conversions. The video walked through the basics of a design sprint, which is a framework for answering critical questions through design, prototyping, and testing ideas with users. We discussed the different stages of a sprint within the framework of understand, define, diverge, decide, prototype, and validate. Sprints are a great way internally to ideate, create, and prototype quickly to tackle different size projects, such as how to optimize your landing page, to larger projects, such as redesigning your whole experience on mobile. In order to run a successful design sprint, it's important to have key stakeholder buy-in, a well-defined goal, tightly run agenda full of exercises, along with a clear follow-up. By getting a cross-functional team together and working through exercises such as how might we's, crazy eights, and user journey mapping, you can accomplish a huge amount of innovation in a short time. In the last video, we reviewed the importance of research and task-based usability studies. The video walked through conducting task-based user research in 6 steps. These are: number 1, understanding the business problem and determining the research question that addresses this business problem. Next, plan your study design by choosing a study format. This can be an in-person study, a remote study, or a field study. Number 3, build your survey question to support your study. Number 4, identify participants for the study. It's important to make sure that these participants align with your product personas. You want to aim to match demographic buckets that use your product and figure out how many participants you'll need. Number 5, test. Always test before you go live through a mock. And finally, number 6, which is to capture and summarize your study results. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Carly, and she's going to kick it off for today's webinar.
Great, thanks. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about how organizational structure can impact the products that your companies build. When you think about the impact that your company's mindset has on the product, website, or user experience, consider these 3 areas. Be curious about your audience, learn how to get feedback, and consider how the entire company works together. Let's break that down a bit further. When we talk about being curious, we mean thinking about the audience or your customers, doing your research, and checking your assumptions through A/B testing. Dana will discuss this in a bit more later on. Next, when it comes to having a good UX, look at the feedback objectively. For example, if an A/B test fails, don't take it personally. Lean on statistics and data when you are interpreting results, and make sure to check your own biases when looking at data. Finally, it's important that the whole company works together. What we mean by this is that there should be a shared standard across organizations for product excellence, one shared goal cross-functionally, and a culture of innovation and agility. We covered some methods for fostering this type of culture in the homework video on design sprints, and we'll discuss this again in a moment. Finally, and maybe most importantly, the C-level needs to be bought in on the shared goals. When you start working on an A/B test, what you might think about is the structure of the test, the design, the reporting, and ensuring that you have the right design for the hypothesis at hand. All of this is very important, but ensuring that an A/B test is successful relies on buy-in from the other people across the organization in different departments. According to a study conducted by Conversion XL, 60% of people's time when they're running A/B tests is spent managing the project and navigating internal politics, while 20% of time is spent designing, testing, and reporting, and another 20% of time is spent understanding the problem and getting insights about the visitor behavior. That's why it's so important to ensure that your company encourages testing, innovation, and new ideas. In order to identify and then to prioritize the highest impact product improvements, it's important to build a CRO culture at your company. A CRO first mindset may highlight different priorities than you expected and can go a long way to bringing mobile UX to the forefront across your company to get everyone on the same page. So what are some practical things you can try? For one, you should do user research to get a better understanding of the consumer challenges. Be curious about your customers or your audience. Be agile and test and learn continuously. When you think with a design mindset, it can help you understand what is really impacting conversions and performance. Once you have buy-in across business leadership and the organization to think design first, it will help your vision fall into place and will become natural to inform important business decisions. We talked about design sprints in one of the homework videos, and this is one way to apply design thinking to solving different business problems. At Google, we host one-day workshops for customers like you to use the Google Ventures sprint methodology to improve the user experience and conversion flow on your mobile websites for your customers. These one-day workshops are a great way to think expansively, make quick decisions, and better understand the customer barriers to converting on your mobile sites. If you're interested in learning more about the Google Ventures design sprint methodology, check out Sprint, a book by Jake Knapp, who invented the Google Venture design sprint method. The book covers what a 5-day design sprint entails and also gives case study examples from Google Venture companies that have benefited from running design sprints to help solve their own business challenges quickly and efficiently. There are also resources on the Google Ventures website at www.gv.com/sprint. Google is notorious for having a product-first culture. Although the vision continuously evolves, the principles for product excellence are consistent. There are 4 principles of product excellence that I want to walk through: aligning on a shared standard for excellence, knowing and understanding your users, measuring excellence, and building excellence into your day-to-day work. Let's first talk about what it means to be aligned on a shared standard for excellence. You'll want to be focused on utility of the product, ensuring that it provides meaningful value to the user. Keep the design simple. The product should feel effortless to use. and it should have crafted execution, evoking joy and gaining trust over and over again. Google Go is an example of a product that exemplifies this. We launched Google Go in 2017 in response to user feedback from India, where a lot of users were first-time smartphone users. With that in mind, the app was designed so that it did not consume a lot of storage space and did not spend a large amount of data. The app offers a one-stop solution to search online, as well as to access various Google services and sites and other sites like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all through a few taps on the screen, without typing much through a virtual keyboard. The next principle is to know and understand your users. Dana will spend more time going into detail on this in a moment, but it's important to make sure you understand your users, their needs, and the competitive landscape. This can be done through user research, user journeys, and usability testing. Next, measure excellence through user satisfaction and user behavior. Monitor feedback channels and commit to fixing top user issues. Understand user behavior and track core metrics such as happiness, engagement, adoption, retention, and task success. Finally, build excellence into your daily work. At Google, we test and improve our products through a process called dog fooding, where we test our own products and provide constant feedback to our developer teams to incorporate into the final product. People are encouraged to share what works and what doesn't to make the product as useful as possible. Now Dana is going to go into more details about how to get started with user testing.
Thanks, Carly. So next, I'm going to walk you through user research, why it's an important tool for your business, and how to get started. But first, I want to play you this video. To me, this video encompasses the reason why it's so important to know your audience. So as you can see, and my kids would do the exact same thing, they would slide down the hill. So they're having fun sliding down the hill instead of using the slide, which was designed for the kids to use. This so-called design fail shows why it's so important to use research to understand how your audience views, engages, uses, and interacts with your products and website. As you learned from the homework video, there are lots of different ways to conduct research, through field testing, to experiments, to surveys, A/B tests, just to name a few. Today, we're going to walk through how to get started conducting user testing for research purposes. So why user testing? This cute illustration captures the why. Too often, sites are designed with the designer's point of view. With so many hours spent working on each details of the site, it's common to think the system crafted is easy to use and intuitive. But only by user testing, you will ensure that you've built something that matches how users think. Today, we're going to dive deeper into usability testing. Usability tests are a great way to understand how your user thinks when they interact and engage with your website and product. The goal is to observe someone using your site to get insights that enable you to improve upon what you're building. So take a moment to think about how this applies to your own site and products. Hopefully, by the end of the session today, you'll be able to identify some areas that you'd like to improve upon through research. And there are many benefits to usability testing. It will provide you with rich qualitative data. Through prototyping, you're able to identify usability issues early, which can save you time and money. It can also help you understand how users use and perceive your site. Overall, involving users will help make your design better. So here's one example of how a usability test can be run through a UX research room. However, don't feel constrained that you need to have a fancy UX research room to run a test. There are many ways to conduct research. These can include simple do-it-yourself tests. So if you don't have the money or resources to run an expert UX research test through a fancy lab. So let's discuss ways on how you can get started in running your own usability tests. A best practice in conducting your own user research is to test often and early. That way you have time to make improvements quickly that will end up saving you time and money in the long run. To start your own usability tests, you need participants, a test plan, and equipment/facilities. The test plan can be as informal as you like, such as gathering some friends to using your social network as a place to find your participants. It's important to think about who you want to test with, either first-time users or returning visitors. And everyone always likes to get free stuff. Incentives work. Gift cards, free food, company freebies are great ways to lure in people to participate in your study. Once you have your participants squared away, a test can be as simple as having them walk through your site, buy something, ask them questions about the process. What worked well, what didn't, what would they change, and having them write down their findings. Fancy equipment isn't always needed. This can take place anywhere from an office setting to sending a quick survey to a couple of friends. And 5 participants is all that's needed to start. It's small scale, but enough to see patterns emerging from users' feedback. This will allow you to gather qualitative data, surfacing the pain points and the misunderstandings of your site. So thank you guys so much for joining the session today. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Sarah to start with the questions and answer session.
Thank you both so much. Thanks for bearing with a few technical difficulties here, but we are back on. Thank you, Carly and Dana, for sharing all that information and for running through a recap of the previous videos that were posted. Super insightful and very helpful. So thank you both. We have a few questions that we had submitted from the audience ahead of time. So we're going to run through a few of those. And then also for those in the live audience, if you have any specific questions, please put them in the live chat. If we're able to answer them, we will. If we don't get to all of them, then we will make sure that there's resources posted so that you can get the answers to those questions. So first question. How should you start with user testing if your resources are limited?
I'll take this one. Thanks, Sarah. This is a great question, and we touched on it a bit during the webinar. So first and foremost, I would start with a do-it-yourself, informal, ask 5 friends per month, have them walk through your site and identify any pinpoints of confusion. Have them write down any areas that worked really well, and then gathering those findings and making tweaks to see what worked really well. Like I said before, incentives and freebies always work. So, tap into your personal network, tap into your social network, take a friend out to dinner, offer a gift card, and get started that way.
Great. Thanks, Dana. I mean, I know I love free socks. So if anyone's going to offer me free socks, I'd be happy to give some answers to a few questions and feedback. So that's a great way. Thank you. All right. And we're also going to show our wonderful speakers as they talk. So I apologize for not having the camera on ahead of time. So I will release this pin of the presentation so that we can see your faces live. All right, next question. Can you tell us more about the user journeys that you see for key products like travel or finance? What role does mobile play in that journey, and how many digital touch points do you think are possible to occur before a conversion event?
Yeah, I can jump in here. This is Carly. Hi. So I would say there's not one formula for journey in travel or finance or any other, vertical or category for that matter. But we continue to see mobile playing a key role in the research phase for many key industries, including travel, and more so even as we get farther down the conversion path. According to a July 2008 study by Google, McKinsey, and Verdo, 63% of accommodation booking paths contain a mobile touchpoint. So even if you're not seeing a lot of bookings or conversions happening on mobile, the experience that your customers are having on mobile is super important. Research is happening there on the mobile web, and if you're not present, or if you aren't providing a fast and seamless experience, you could be losing out on those conversions later on in the customer journey when someone has done their research and they're ready to book, whether that booking takes place on mobile, desktop, or in some other way. It's very imperative for you to be present on mobile and have that experience that your customers are expecting.
Absolutely great. Thanks for answering that, Carly.
Yeah.
Next question. Is it good practice to explain the goal of an exercise to the team during a design sprint? Sometimes they look at me like, quote, "This makes no sense," quote, and I feel forced to tell them why we are doing it, but I'm not sure if that is good practice.
Yeah, I can help answer that one too. I think it's great to explain the goal of an exercise during the design sprint. If participants understand what the goal is, they may be able to come up with more specific and targeted ideas and sketches for the exercises. When we run design sprints here, we always encourage participants to ask lots of questions and think big when it comes to ideating and brainstorming. So sharing the goal of the exercise can really foster that openness throughout the event and set a tone for people to share and communicate and really understand what's going on. So I definitely encourage you to explain the goal or talk about what the desired outcome would be.
Yeah, I think the more communication about what the goal is, the better. So definitely just being upfront about what your team is getting together for, I think is best practice. All right, we'll do a few more pre-submitted questions here. I try to run one-day sprints with my team, and how can I keep them interested and engaged throughout? So in other words, how do I make sure that while my team is together during these one-day sprints, that they are focused and engaged with the task at hand? I think that goes a bit with the previous question, but would be great to have a bit more bullet points around this.
Yep, I can take this one. I definitely say to start it off, get key buy-in. So if C-level buy-in is needed, then go that route. I would also say, have a tightly run agenda and also a closed laptop policy. It's worth bringing in an external facilitator or having a facilitator come in from a different team. I want to let you know that Google does offer design sprint events that are for one day. So that could be a great opportunity if you're having difficulty keeping your team engaged. Definitely reach out to us and, we can invite you to one of our design sprint events. But I would definitely say key thing is getting everybody on the same page to help prioritize that this is a really important exercise and tool to improve your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one point that's interesting is the closed laptop policy. I know it might be difficult to get people on board to have their laptops closed, just given the world that we live in today. But I think if you preface it with how important it is and how the long-term gains of you having your team focus on that for one day will really make a difference, that you'll be able to get people on board. Thanks, Dana. All right, the last pre-submitted question, and then we'll go to some of the live questions. Who should be in charge of the optimization process? The product team, marketing team, analytics team?
I'll jump in here. Hi, guys. So that's another great question. And I think, the short answer is that different organizations have different setups. And the other short answer is that it's sort of all of the above. You'll definitely need a web designer and a developer involved. And once you have decision makers from those teams in place, I think it's really important to set up a team of cross-functional stakeholders. So you need someone from tech, from marketing, from analytics, and from product involved in weekly meetings and bought in on the broader vision in order to really see results coming out of this and make sure that everyone's really aligned on what it's going to take and they're putting skin in the game to actually take care of what needs to get done and really have that CRO mindset across the company.
Great, thank you. Okay, a few live questions. First one, do you tackle a conflict? How do you tackle a conflict between user feedback and data?
I'll jump in again. So I think, really it's all about A/B testing. And I think at a certain point you may have to go with your gut. So if you're getting feedback from users live through user testing and things like that, that something's not working and data is saying otherwise, maybe it's something to come up with a compromise or think about a different way that may be able to achieve the feedback that you're getting anecdotally, but also kind of feed into what the data is showing. And really continuing in A/B testing. So I think when we talked about the CRO maturity model and how it's an ongoing process, that's really what we mean is kind of taking it and iterating it and making it better until you find something that aligns. And really continuing that. It's not just one and done A/B test and then we're out. You have to continue to think about how you're testing and what those results are telling you.
Great, thanks, Carly. Another question here about small companies, and I know we touched on it briefly, but would be great to reiterate. In a small company, funding is limited for user testing. So what is the best way to go about it?
Yeah, I can jump in here. I would definitely say, as mentioned before, tap into your resources, your personal networks. Start with 5 participants. Reach out to them once a month with some questions. Ask them to perform a task at hand that you really want to accomplish. This can be super easy. You can send them a survey. You can have them come to your office. Just something really, quick and dirty. And, use your network as a way to do that. So I would say nothing has to be super formal. Very simple as just taking like 5 friends. Hey, do you mind doing a quick favor for me? What do you think about this site? So, and just start with 5 participants, and that's all it takes.
Great. And if you have socks, I'm sure it's probably a great way. All right. A question about tools here. Any tools you can suggest when it comes to presenting the results of the usability testing to the stakeholders?
Yeah, so I can take this one. I would definitely suggest showing the results of your findings to the key stakeholders. So showing them and graphing out, we surveyed 5 participants over the course of 6 months, and we had them review X, Y, and Z. Here are their findings. And from their findings, we created a prototype. And from that prototype, show your key stakeholders how it actually improved the problem that you were addressing, that overall business problem. And of course, show them a test. So we tested this with, a certain percentage of users, and we saw conversions improve by X amount. So I would say definitely presenting and packaging all the findings from your usability tests is a great way to showcase and present the results.
Great, thanks. Yeah, and I think, a common issue that people run into is when do you know when to stop these usability tests and when to stop presenting on your findings? So one of the questions we have is, how do you know when to stop presenting on those usability tests? So I'll just read it, quote, "When do you know how to stop a usability test? I find that it's ongoing and never ending with everyone's opinions and thoughts in a product team."
Yeah, I think, one thing when you're looking at data and analyzing data, and it can be overwhelming if you're getting lots and lots of feedback, would be to think about kind of themes that are jumping out at you. Is there a lot of times when we look at user testing data or things like that, I can see that everyone is having trouble with a sort and filter bar, or 3 or 4 people are, and that's enough for me to go off of when it comes to kind of taking the next step and taking the action item. Or if there's something that's particularly important in order to get the conversion, that would be sort of like where you would want to start. And once you feel like you have enough feedback in order to actually take action, I think that's really where you might want to stop and kind of rephrase or move on to the next thing. So I don't think that there's really a hard and fast answer for like when to stop or when to go. I think it's just about when you have enough data that you can make an educated decision about how to take action on your product.
Great, thank you. And I know with all the different technologies out there these days, it can be quite overwhelming with how many different tools you can use. So one of the questions we have here is, how do you centralize all the different and evolving insights gained from both quantitative and qualitative research? Do you have a system to include that in future product design decisions? I think, unless Carly or Dana, you want to take this one, but I think this is a loaded question. I think there is many different suggestions, and we're happy to post some resources about how to go about figuring out, how do you prioritize, how do you centralize all these different insights. So we'll be posting resources after, but I think you really do need to determine what it is that the goal of the test is with your team first and foremost, and then you'll be able to prioritize which data points and insights will be most effective and most persuasive to make sure that you're accomplishing that goal.
Yeah, and I would say too, like if you are adopting the CRO maturity model where you're thinking about the multi-moment and data-driven piece of it, you would have sort of this board of directors from across all the different parts of your organization really working together to have like this running prioritization list. So I think, again, it's, every business is unique and the way that everybody works together is unique. So once you find a centralized repository to really think about what the roadmap for your product looks like or what the roadmap for your website looks like, you can kind of collect all those things there. And if you are meeting as a team, cross-functionally, weekly or bi-weekly or even monthly, you can kind of review that list and reprioritize based off of the ongoing usability testing and feedback that you get.
Great. Thank you. We'll do a few more here. So we're just looking through the comments. We'll end with another one that was actually submitted. What tools do you as a team use? Like, what Google products would be best for folks who are listening in? What should they be using? Or are there Google specific products that they can research to make sure that they're accomplishing their goals with Google tools? And I guess one of the ones that I want to bring up is Google Optimize is an A/B testing platform that is a product of Google's. There's other resources as well. So we'll make sure to post about those tools that we use here at Google to make sure that our clients are getting the most out of how they go about user experience and research. So with that, we are going to wrap it up. I just want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in. I hope that you got a lot out of this webinar and are able to action this with your teams. And a big thank you to Carly and Dana. You guys were fantastic. And thank you for diving into all of the questions and all of that information. Super helpful.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
And we will be posting resources and more information about this webinar. The recording will be posted on the YouTube channel, so feel free to go back and check it out. And thank you all again. We'll see you next week. Have a great day.
Bye. Thanks.